fact, most people never hit 100K per year in profit in their agencies. And even though I've had like 60K plus profit months, I almost didn't even make it to 100K per year in profit when I was starting out. Um, so I'm going to go over three complementary reasons why agency owners never hit 100K per year profit, just so you can like obviously avoid these mistakes, but also so that you can just scale as fast as possible with high margins too. The first one, I legitimately almost bankrupted myself over when I was starting out. Um, Basically, I didn't have a proven pricing model, so I was testing around when I was at like $3,000 a month kind of thing. I did a lot of testing. Initially, what I was doing was, this time I was jumping around through all sorts of things. I was doing a DIY course that I was selling. Then I was doing Done With You, where we would like build and launch the campaigns, um, and then just like provide course material to the client on how they can maintain their ads. Um, and then another thing I was doing was like selling Done For You. And I kind of jumped between these three things numerous times, which took me a while, but really like one of the, I guess what happened here was that with time, since I didn't have a proven pricing model, I was testing all sorts of numbers. I was like, am I charging too little? Am I charging too much? Like, what's going on? So at one point, I had heard a piece of advice to pretty much just like sell at the highest possible number that I could think of. And so I had done that, and I increased my pricing to $12,000. And what followed was uh, 4 full months of no sales. And then in the fifth month, and while I was doing that, I was spending like $2,000 a month. I also paid for a coaching program, which was like 5K. And so my money was rapidly disappearing because in the beginning of that, I had, I think, like $17,000 in the bank. What ended up happening was this was in September that I made this change. By the time it was January, um, I had broke my dry streak of zero sales with one $500 sale. I was panicking, and it was do or die because I had a little over $2,000 left in the bank. That was what it would cost me to send cold emails for the next month, and it was it was just do or die, right? But the lesson here is that you need a proven pricing model. I did not have a proven pricing model, so I was forced to test, right? Um, and we'll get into how you can find a proven pricing model in a second. But had I just known what to sell, how much to sell it for, problem solved. I wouldn't have run into any of this. I wouldn't have literally nearly bankrupted myself. I wouldn't have burned almost half a year stressing myself out, just, trusting the process, bro. Uh, when like nothing was working how I wanted it to work. And again, it's because I didn't have a proven pricing model. And the easy solution to a lot of problems is to get some kind of a mentor. Uh, that later on ended up being a really big thing for me. But moving on to number two. So that was number one, the proven pricing model. Number two, if I didn't drop out of school and burn all of my bridges, honestly, like the second main reason that agency owners, SMMA owners never hit this 8K a month profit mark, the second reason would have just made me quit if I had other options in life. And I almost did quit, to be honest. Like at one point I applied to like a software, or not a software, it was actually an ad agency, an Amazon ad agency. I got hired in sales, but my gut feeling was to not proceed with the role, so I didn't. And I talked to the owner, and he gave me some pretty interesting advice, which was, keep your head down, keep trying, because not everybody makes it out the other side. And this is a multi seven-figure agency owner at this point. But I legitimately almost quit because of this. Early on in my agency, when I was doing 1.5K per month, probably, I was stuck at 1.5K per month for my entire first year in my agency. I started off sending mass cold emails. I was also doing Instagram DMs. I tried sending messages on Facebook, but I didn't know how many messages to send, so then my account got permanently restricted from how many messages I could do outreach with. So there went my entire Facebook account. And then Facebook makes it harder and harder for you to create more accounts and so on and so forth. So I ran into a bunch of problems. Um, and that happens. It's natural as you're learning. But I was following YouTube tutorials, I was warming up emails, and things were, working on and off, you could say. But at one point, I had cracked a cold email method that was working very well. It was a mass cold email method that was working very well. Uh, and what had happened was eventually it stopped working. My cold email accounts weren't actually, properly primed. And so I had to, you know, get back and restart. But what I did was, instead of just like learning from that mistake and having more accounts on deck in the background and warming accounts constantly, what I did was I just moved on to something else and stopped doing that, even though I had something that was working very, very well. So, what the deeper problem here was that my call volume was really low. Like in that first year, I think I did 1.5K per month on average when I did the math after my first year in my agency. And 7.2K of that came from one sale. So I had a sales process that worked. I had a cold email process that worked. I already knew how to book appointments because I had done that in a previous job. And I had a service model that worked that I had experience performing in the past. So had I just done those things, and more importantly though, the real thing here is, had I just doubled down on that cold email method and just sent a ton of cold emails, I wouldn't have had such a hard time. So one of the biggest learning lessons I got out of this was I guess there were two. One little bonus one is, if you're doing cold email or cold outreach at all, is to make sure you're always warming accounts and that you always have accounts on deck, and that you're always constantly testing new accounts and finding out what works and gradually warming them. But the other big, really, really big learning lesson I got from this was to send enough outreach messages, to do enough outreach to generate enough leads, because I had all these processes that were working. Honestly, I was, 2 sales in a single month away from having done my first 10K month, right? But instead, what I did was I just moved on to do something else because, that's, it's annoying. I don't want to deal with it, whatever. It's like, wrong answer. Everything can be annoying, right? I'm not going to say everything is annoying. It's a very much an attitude and a perspective and a mindset thing. But problems are inevitable when you're doing cold outreach. And if I could go back, I would double down on that cold email method and just keep everything exactly how it was, instead of, like I was talking about from point number one, where not only did I switch the cold email method to doing this and to doing that, but I also entirely switched the model to doing a DIY to done with you, right? And then I just came back to done for you a year later. But in all of my ramblings, point number two is just make sure you're sending enough messages. And if you're not getting as many sales as you want, double, triple, quadruple the messages you're sending, and then wait a little while. Keep sending at that level for a while and see what happens, right? And then go from there. Now, the third thing here made my life a living hell. It shattered my confidence. I really, honestly, didn't believe in myself anymore. I thought 10K per month or 8K per month profit was almost impossible to attain goal because of this. So in 2017, I started drop shipping. That's how I got into the whole internet marketing space. I started drop shipping October of 2017. I was bored during a reading week in university. And one thing that I had seen was this really incredible wave of people making just so much money with e-commerce. One of the problems, you could say, with 2017 YouTube and the whole dropshipping space was the amount of lifestyle flexing that was going on. Um, I'm all for lifestyle flexing. Honestly, I really enjoy lifestyle flexing personally. I really, really do enjoy it. Like watching it. I mean, like clearly I don't do that on this channel, but um, I really enjoy watching it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But what happened was I didn't know how long it would take to achieve that. You see all the testimonials, and it's like person went from A to B within 6 days and like whatever, right? It's like I'm exaggerating with the 6 days thing, but you'll hear that some guy went, some testimonials will literally say 0 to 10K per month in 90 days. And it took a while for me to start to realize that, like, oh, this guy probably had other experience, pivoted, Shopify stores or pivoted niches in the agency space, and then did this 10K per month or, scale to 0 to 10K per month in 90 days or whatever the case may be, right? Call it an 8K per month profit kind of situation. Because that happens all the time. And that's perfectly normal. Now, I became very, very beat down though, because I didn't know this at the time. I didn't have anybody to tell me this, which is why I'm saying it in these videos, because I really, really wish that I knew what actually went into scaling to, $100,000 per year in profit and beyond. And what it really, all comes down to here is having appropriate expectations. So the question may be, or the question that might be in your mind is, well, how long does it take to get to 10K per month, right? And it's tough to give a real, true, exact answer, but I'll do my best. It depends on what skill level you're at. It depends on what information you have access to, and it depends on who you have access to, which people you have access to. So if you have zero prior skills, it's going to take you longer. If you already know sales and lead generation and you've practiced both and you know appointment setting, all you really need at that point is like a proven offer, and then away you go, right? And then it comes down to, well, do you know what that proven offer is, or who do you know that can give you that proven offer? So for example, if you have those skills already, then you can go 0 to 10K per month in 30 to 60 days. You can do it in 30 days for sure if you have those skills already. Well, what if you don't have those skills already? Honestly, the same thing is possible, but very unlikely. Very unlikely that right out the gate you're going to go 0 to 10K in your first month. Very unlikely unless you're extremely talented, you're in with the right people, and you have access to the right information all at once. Like the best result that I have seen so far for a new agency owner is a guy that I'm working with right now. His name's Aiden. He joined my private scaling group for agency owners. There's a link in the description. I really don't care if you joined it or not. But he joined in there, copy pasted everything that I have, and within his first 3.5 weeks of joining, he had never had an agency client before, no ads experience, no sales experience. He did 5K in sales. So that's the fastest I've ever seen somebody scale within their first 30 days having an agency, period. For me, it took me a couple months before doing that. I had my, excuse me, I had my like 7K sale. That was like 3 months in or something like that, 2, 3, 4 months in to my agency. So now if we're talking consistent 10K per month, then it does take even longer, right? You'll have ups and downs. You won't have enough call volume. You'll have a month where everything kind of adds up, and then you get kind of lucky numbers wise, a lot of averages. And then you'll have another month where things go kind of the opposite and it averages out, and you just kind of raise the bar, raise the bar, raise the bar. So long story short, it's not going to happen overnight. Usually overnight successes come after a long period of preparation. It's this, longer period of just working, trying to figure it out. Then something clicks, and then boom, 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 very quickly. Now, that being said, tying back to, again, appropriate expectations are extremely important, and one of the biggest reasons that so many agency owners will not hit 100K per year or 8K per month in profit. And really, like, if we look at tying all three of these back together, because I said they're complementary. Number one, you need a proven pricing model, either through testing or through someone who's ahead of you. Two, you need to send enough messages and ideally have outreach accounts primed for that on the back burner, and you can practice and learn how to worm accounts. But then also having the right information is very important too, and having access to people who can just tell you, hey, look out for that, hey, do this, whatever. And then 3, you need to know that it takes time, and you're not a loser or an idiot or a failure or not special or whatever. I mean, not special, I don't know, but you don't want to feel like just an idiot if it's taking you, if you're in the game for a year and you're at 1.5K per month, right? And that's where I was, and it really beat me down. I just didn't realize that I didn't have access to, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't have access to the information. I didn't have access to the people, and now that I do, I do well in school. I'm like always like top of the class type thing. So it's, in joining programs and communities and whatever, it's very easy for me to climb to the top of the class. You just need to, I guess, like find a good teacher, if that makes sense. If you don't have all 3 of these things, you're screwed. That's pretty much all there is to it. That being said, if you enjoyed this video, found it valuable, go to my channel, watch my other stuff, see what's there. Otherwise, watch whatever's popping up on screen here, and I'll see you there.